6.2 rational exponents. We're going to recall that the radical symbol is used to indicate roots. The index is the small number to the left of the radical symbol, which tells which root to take. For example, that root symbol, the radical symbol with that 3, stands for the cubic root, the cube root. Since 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, the cube root of 8 is equal to 2. So if you see 3 to the 1/2 power, that is the same thing as the square root of 3. If you see 5 to the 1/4 power, it is the same thing as the 4th root of 5. 2 to the 1/7 is the 7th root. So when you see a fraction as an exponent, the denominator is that root. I have 343 to the 1/3 power. What does this really mean? This really means the cube root of 343. So I need to figure out what times what is 343. Now, with the use of a calculator on here, to do cube root, to do any root, there's a square root in yellow here. If I do math, there is a cube root here. But to do any root, press what root I want. 3rd root, math, 5. This means the 3rd root of 343. The answer is 7. 7 times 7 times 7 is 343. Do not think that it means 343 divided by 3. That's a common mistake. Again, I could have used the cube root. So math 4, 343. Now I can type this problem in the way it's written, but I have to be careful. 343 caret. When I do the 1/3 power, it has to be in parentheses. Warning, they don't always come out nice and neat. So don't just automatically throw it in a calculator and expect to get an answer. Sometimes it's just simplify it. You can't take it any further. For part B here, I have 32 to the 1/5 plus 9 to the 1/2. What does 32 to the 1/5 mean? Fifth root of 32 plus the square root of 9. Now, square root, we don't have to put the 2 here, but we can. The 5th root of 32. What times what times what times what times what is 32? Take a guess. 2 times 2 is? Times 2 is? Times 2 is? Times 2 is? 32. The 5th root of 32 is 2. The square root of 9 is? 3. 2 plus 3 is? 5. Notice how I'm doing these separately. I can't combine these into one. The radicals that are different roots, you can't combine them. What does 81 to the 1/4 mean? The 4th root 81. So I'm going to go 4, math, 5, 81. The answer is 3. If you do not get a whole number, you leave it like this. What does 121 to the 1/2 really mean? Square root of 121. What's the square root of 121? 11. 256 to the 1/4. That means the 4th root of 256. 4, math, 5, 256. What's 11 plus 4? 15. All of those original ones we did were 1/3, 1/4, 1/5. But you don't always have that. So I have b to the 2/3 here. I can take b to the 2/3 and write it two different ways. 2/3 really means 1/3 times 2. Or I could write it as 2 times 1/3. Do you understand how 2/3 gets broken apart? I didn't do anything. I just broke it apart. If I do that, this really means b to the 1/3 times, or squared. So the 1/3 means cube root. So here's your answer. The cube root of b squared. If I think of it the other way, I have b squared to the 1/3. Well, that means it's the cube root, so it's the cube root of b squared. This is the same answer, both ways. Now looking at it, how do I get from here to here? What number goes where? So the denominator goes for the radical. The denominator is your root. The numerator is your exponent. That's the way fractions work. In our last problem, we had something like this. I have 8 to the 2/3. This really means the cube root of 8 and then square it. The cube root of 8 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. If I look at it the other way that we did it, it's the cube root of 8 squared. 8 squared is 64. The cube root of 64 is 4. Both ways get me the same answer. Without any numbers, b to the m over n is the nth root of b to the mth power. I'm well aware that we can sit and just put in a calculator. I understand. We put them in the calculator right off the bat. 81 to the 5/4. And I know I forgot the 1. I'll go back and fix it. Yes, I know the answer is 243. But do you understand the concept? That's the problem. Without learning what to do here. The problems when there's just variables are very difficult. How can I rewrite this? Fourth root of 81. Now, I'm going to put the 5 on the outside and not the inside. The reason why, I can go inside or outside. That's the nice thing about it. I don't want to figure out what 81 to the 5th is. 81 times 81 times 81 times 81 times 81. That's too large of a number. What I'm really doing here, what's the fourth root of 81? 3. And what's 3 to the fifth? Well, if 3 to the fourth is 81, 81 times 3. What's 8 times 3? What's 8 times 3? 24. What's 3 times 1? 243. Here's this one. I'm going to rewrite this as the fifth root of 3125 . I'm going to put the squared on the outside because I don't want to figure out what 3,125 squared is. It's a very large number. So I'm going to go 5, math, 5, 3125. It's 5. I don't need a calculator from here. What's 5 squared? 25. It's understanding the concept of what it means by those fractional roots. Me just pushing a couple buttons, I don't learn what this means. I'm jumping ahead because I want to show you this one. We're going to simplify now. I have the fourth root of a to the fourth, b to the 20th. The calculator cannot help me. See, now it's the understanding of what the roots mean. If you live by the calculator, you die by the calculator. It can only do so much. What does a fourth root mean? Divide by 4. I'm going to divide this by 4 and this by 4. So it's a to the 4 over 4, b to the 20 over 4. That's really what I'm doing. I'm unwriting it as a root and changing it to fractions. What's 4 divided by 4? So I just have a. B to the, what's 20 divided by 4? A, B to the fifth is your answer. It's not solving these for answers, it's just simplifying. Now this one here, I have in parentheses x to the 6th, y to the 4th, that's to the 1/2, times by the square root of y squared. All right, I have this problem here. First thing I'm going to do, this is really going to go to both. It's really x to the 6 over 2, y to the 4 over 2. Now, this right here means, what does that radical mean? It's a square root, which means it's y to the 2 over 2. What's 6 over 2? 4 over 2. 2 over 2. What do I have here? I have x cubed. How many y's do I have? 3. X cubed, y cubed is your answer. You need to remember when you have a root, this means this has to divide all the exponents by 4. So it's x to the 4 over 4, y to the 12 over 4. What's 4 over 4? 1x, so I just write x. And 12 divided by 4 is? You don't have to put the 1. We know it's a 1. It is okay if you go directly from this to here. Divide by 4 is 1, divide by 4 is 3, done. If by chance this was a 14, if I had this problem, what's different now? We don't put decimals as an exponent. We're going to have a fraction. So I have x to the 14 fourths y cubed. But what does 14 fourths mean? 7 halves. You can have this answer, or I could change this to change it into radicals. What does 7 halves mean? What this means square root x to the 7th. That is your answer. Because that 2 as a denominator means square root. The 7 as a numerator means that's your exponent for the x. Either one of these is correct. This one here is the one that's the best way to write it. All right. The approximate number of calories that an animal needs each day is given by the formula. Calories equals 72 times m to the 3/4, where m is the animal's mass in kilograms. What's the number of calories that a 81 kilogram panda needs each day? There's a lot of words in here that completely confuse you because you don't want to see the words. There's 2 important pieces here. This equation here and this 81. What does that 81 stand for? M. In this problem, there's either a C or an M. It's got to be one of those two. It is your C. No, it's your M. C equals 72 times 81 to the 3/4. This really means the 4th root of 81 cubed, correct? What's the 4th root of 81? 3. What's 3 cubed? 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. Now I have 72 times 27. $72 times 27. 1,944 calories.